Alright here, so I'm going to give a little bit of an opinion. I guess that's about all I can call it. Okay, and it has to do with part 2 of the FBI and James Whitey Bulger, his murder trial that just concluded today. Again, I also said the CIA is guilty of these things as well. And of course that is something I haven't proven yet. And I have to produce enough evidence to do so, and that will be quite easy, unfortunately. But the fact of the matter is this: you have a corrupt structure of government in your nation. And the fact is, not only are they corrupt, but they are now complicit in each other's corruption. Because as the evolution of corruption by its basic dynamics takes place, what you'll start to see is that it begins to develop a network. And that's what you have in your country. Obama's corrupt, not because he was corrupt going in, but because he was corrupted once he got there. He doesn't have a choice. In fact, I'm sure the option is do what corruption requires, or, and when I say that, I mean the interest of a few that is using subversive methods to get their objectives accomplished against the objectives and the rights of the many that are having their rights and their protections decimated by the very same forces, because it is a zero-sum game. As one goes up, the other declines. And as your rights decline, it's only because the power and the control of the few has gone up. Okay? So there's no in-between on this. It's a zero-sum game. Up, one goes up, the other goes down. One goes up, the other goes down. One goes up, the other goes down. One goes up. Okay, are we getting it? It's a mathematical formula. So even when they do this, it's equivalent always. It always ends with a zero balance of equilibrium. In other words, this is up 35, this is down 35. Minus 35, plus 35. 35 cancels out 35, equilibrium, balance. When your system begins to dysfunction, you'll begin to see alterations in the flow of the process that you may be engaged in, or a participant of, or being somehow in one way or another feeling the effect of, directly or indirectly. Okay? And if it begins to operate in this manner, you know you got deeper fundamental issues with the dynamics of the structure of the system. It's corrupted, distorted, there's anomalies, and they should not be there. Those incontinuities bring out discordant responses, and that's where trouble starts. So we use a system of intellect that is based on equality in terms of just principles, as according to our laws, that gives everybody the same rights and opportunities from the get-go. And whatever happens from there is called corruption, okay? In other words, if it's not sustained at that level of equilibrium, then you have corruption, okay? Either you have distorted values that cause the entire system to go off the road, or you have corrupted values that a few utilize against the many to basically exploit and extract profit, and to exploit the power they can gain from those distortions and those corruptions over the population for the period of time that they are being utilized. Okay? What I'm telling you is that if your FBI is corrupt, your CIA is corrupt, your White House is corrupt, like duh, Fast and Furious, are you kidding me? Oh, well, we supplied the cartel with weapons and we gave them free access to our streets, our markets, in other words, where your kids play. We didn't come down on them, we didn't arrest them, we didn't interdict them. We gave them complicit allowance. Do you understand that? That's what really happened. If you listen to the world press, you would know that, but you don't, because that is one story that will never be allowed in the American press unless it's buried on page 293, you know, on the Wisconsin Observer. Because otherwise you can forget about ever seeing the truth of that story seeing the light of day. Because that story is, it's a deal breaker, okay? That is a game ender. And the reason is this, is because it means the entire system is complicit in massive corruption, which not only is devious in terms of manipulative political maneuvering, but is criminally violating the laws in substantially destructive and harmful ways. Putting drugs on the street, giving weapons to cartels, allowing criminals to come into this country and bring those drugs. All the while creating a facade with the Border Patrol, and one accidentally dies in the incident because it's sooner or later going to happen. And you wonder if the White House is not corrupt and the Justice Department is not corrupt. When Issa found that fucking discontinuity, he had no choice but to bow down, because it would have overwhelmed, it would have been like a tidal wave. The entire goddamn dam would have broke, because it underlies everything they claim to be. And what we have come to believe they are. But they're not. They're not even close. Those days are over. They're gone. And what you have now is an entirely different infrastructure, an entirely different mindset, an entirely different understanding, an entirely uniquely despicable paradigm in operation that is nothing but an architecture for a dynamic floor plan of how to process events and objects for the sake of the few who are making these criminal maneuvers to machinate these events into being. They are facilitating it from their positions and from their paid informants and paid operatives positions, such as your congressman and representative who will vote in favor of Monsanto to put poisonous GMO DNA alterations into your food source without even asking you or having to tell you they did it. Really? That's not criminal. That, my friend, is treason. And if you can't recognize what treason looks like, you have no business even being an American, because you don't deserve the right to even appreciate what it was you were given. It doesn't matter, though, in your case, if you're like that, because you don't even understand what you were given, so you can't tell the fucking difference between GMO and fucking... Forget it. You don't even know what food is. Just go on. But to those who see what I'm talking about, you're in trouble if you don't do what has to be done. And I'm not saying act. I'm saying see, watch, observe, notice, become aware. The time of movement is... It has to be systematically in accordance with laws and truths and principles. You cannot become a violator of love and of honesty and integrity and honor to become the victor over them. Because once you do, they own you. And they will use that to take you into their authority at the convenient hour for them. You have to do it with the right way. The laws that exist. The truth that is spoken and known and can be verified. An integrity that has nothing to do with what you get out of this. But it's a sacrifice from you for the sake of others. And that's why you give it. And that's why you don't expect nothing in return. And when you give it like that, you will find it will be returned. And even if it isn't, who cares? It's not why I'm doing it. And if that's not what you understand, you have no right being here. None. You don't earn the right of an American citizen that these stripes were laid down for, from blood and love and honor, courage and sacrifice, so you would have this chance to fight for your children. You understand what I'm saying? It's not about anything else but doing the right thing so your country doesn't destroy itself. Because that's where it's heading. And any honest observer, especially if they had an education in the field, sociology, psychology, behavior management, structural economics, they'll see all these things are there. All the signs of destruction are in place. And that means you got to start taking fucking responsive action. You cannot hide and get away with it. There is no getting away with it. What goes around comes around. And what comes around goes around. So you better start opening your eyes and operating in accordance to principles that you will be able to stand by in the end and not have to make excuses for, oh, they did it, so we did it. Or, or it's the only way we could beat them. No, no. That's what they decided about you. And that's why they're in trouble. So if you do what they do, you're them. Don't even think twice about this. You have to recognize, you have to operate within principles of truth, of love, and of integrity. And you have to do it for the right reason. Or don't even bother. It's up to you. Make a choice.